Hi,
Hi, this is Group 6.
presenting a vlog about Chapter 6.
Broken Symmetry.
So let us first understand what is symmetry all about. Symmetry is the quality of being made of exactly similar parts facing each other of around its axis. Something in the human mind is attracted to symmetry. It appeals to our visual sense and thereby plays a role in our sense of beauty. Nature, too, seems to be attracted to symmetry, for many of most striking patterns in the natural world are symmetric. One of the most familiar symmetric forms is the one inside which you spend your life. The human body is bilaterally symmetric, meaning that its left half is the same as its right half. There are many different kinds of symmetry. The most important ones are
One example is reflection, less formally known as flips. If you take an object from the plane, pick it up, flip it over to its back, you would get the same effect as if you reflected it in the mirror. To find where the mirror should go, choose some point on the original object and look at it where that point ends up when the object is flipped. Reflection can also be carried out in three-dimensional space, but now the mirror is more of a familiar kind, namely a flat surface.
Rotation, or less formally known as turns, to rotate an object in a plane, you chose a point called the center, and turn the object about its center as wheels turns about its hub. The number of degrees through which you turn the object determines the size of the rotation. For example, imagine a flower with 4 identical equally spaced petals. If you rotate the flower 90 degrees, it looks exactly the same. So the transformation rotate through a right angle is a symmetry of the flower. Rotations occur in three-dimensional space too. Again, you can rotate objects through different angles about the same axis.
Translation, or less formerly known as slides. Translation or transformation that the slide objects along without rotating them. Think of a tiled bathroom wall. If you take a tile and slide it horizontally, just the right distance, it will fit on the top of the neighboring tile. The distance is the width of the tile. If you slide 2 widths of the tile, or 3, or any number, it also fits the pattern. Translation captures symmetry, in which units are repeated, like a regular array of tiles. The bee's honeycomb, with its hexagonal tiles, is an excellent naturally occurring example.
But what about broken symmetry?
So, what is broken symmetry? After all, this chapter is about broken symmetry.
Broken symmetry. What is it? So think about a steel pond so flat it can be thought of as a mathematical plane and large enough that it might as well be a plane for all that edges matter. Toss a pebble into the pond, you see patterns, ripples, circular waves seemingly moving outward away from the point of the impact of the pebble. We've all seen this, but nobody is greatly surprised. After all, we saw the cause, it was the pebble. If you don't throw a pebble in, or anything that might disturb a surface, then you won't get waves. All you get is a still, flat, and planar pond. The ripples on the pond are examples of broken symmetry.
another example of broken symmetry is the busy reaction.
Would you be more surprised if a perfectly flat pond suddenly developed a series of concentric circular ripples without there being any obvious cause? Would you be imagined that perhaps a fish beneath the surface had disturbed it, or that something had fallen in it, and you have not seen it because it was moving too fast?
But in 1958, the Russian chemist B.P. Belousov discovered a chemical reaction that spontaneously formed patterns. Apparently out of nothing, his colleagues refused to believe him. They assumed that he had made a mistake. They didn't bother checking his work. He was so obviously wrong that checking his work would be a waste of time, which was a pity. because he was right.
Particular pattern that Belousov discovered existed not in space but in time. His reaction oscillated through a periodic sequence of chemical changes. By 1963, another Russian chemist, A.M. Zhabotinsky, had modified Belousov's reaction so that it formed patterns in space as well. In their honor, any similar chemical reaction is given the generic name Belousov-Zhabotinsky or BZ reaction.
That has been
Broken Symmetry.
Presented to you by none other than Sharon Maggie Ganto.
Sherlyn Claire D. Tavalles.
And Bea Cassandra Dirhida. Thank you for watching.